Good evening, wherever you are watching from, and hello and welcome to the Netherlands. We are here for round number 5 or 6. I actually can't remember. That is actually amazing of me. Look at me go. What an amazing caster I am. It's been a very long day for me, but we are here at the Netherlands for PSF2 for the competitive speed series. And we are about to be getting underway with 18 action-packed minutes of qualifying here at the Zandvoort circuit. And someone snaps me and reminds me that I need to mute my phone. But hello and welcome wherever you are watching from around the world. We are here for round number 6, as I have just observed, for competitive speed series. Before we get into anything and anyone hits the track, though, I do want to send a massive thank you, as always, to our partner, Sim Racing Centre. Do be sure to use code CSS5 at checkout for a 5% discount on anything across the store. However, as we look towards the 17 now minutes of qualifying ahead, let's have a little reflection on what happened last time out as we get our first driver out onto the race circuit. So let's have a little look at what happened last time out. Well, last time out for these drivers, we headed... Actually, I don't know. Can you tell I'm not here constantly? Last time out, we headed to Italy. I should have known that because I casted PSF1 for Italy. But yeah, we were at Italy last time out at this Monza circuit, and now we are here at the Zandvoort circuit. Now, so a little look at the standings for you. CPI are leading the way with 265 points after 5 rounds of the championship, followed by X on 183, FC1 on 118 points, closely followed by LRN on 113, just 5 points difference between them, and a 5-point difference back is TGF on 108, STR on 71, 10 points behind their ORT, a 1-point gap separating ORT and NRT on 60, TGT on 57, and AE are on 13 points so far this season. Do remember, 15 drivers get points, so everyone who is here will score points. I remember that from last time out at Monza, so look at me go. Moving up in the world, we're getting places. So, getting some lap times. Now some yellow flags, 2 to suit, and we're getting ORT Gio around the race circuit. Gio, actually a driver I know quite well. I've spoken to him in the past. So good to see he's knocking around and doing well. But a lot of these drivers, quite a few of them I recognise as well, from other league racing competitions as well. But we are getting those first laps underway. This will be the first lap time on the board, so it will be P1 for Gio when you cross the line. But the McLaren not looking too bad across this lap from what I have seen, and not then been paying attention to the standings. But 1:08.729, not a bad lap time there at all for ORT Gio. I do wonder what other drivers will be able to do across their hot laps. There is a Alva Alpine in the second sector. I really need to get these team names down. It will happen eventually, I promise. But we will get there soon-ish. But there we go, Finlay with a much better lap time there, a 1:08.436. So not a bad lap time there. So not too bad. So, looking at some other drivers, we're getting lap times on the board now. A 1:08.436 is the best time we've got so far on the board. But CPI Danny currently out in front there, with just closely behind. In, by the way, the absolutely beautiful Las Vegas Ferrari livery. What a livery this was. I loved this livery. I'm quite gutted that it's only lasting one race. But it's a beautiful livery nonetheless. But let's have a little look at who is yet to set a lap time. The other ORT driver is on a lap time as things stand, so we'll see what the other ORT car can do around the final bend. DRS opening earlier than it used to at the circuit. They changed the DRS zone, which means it's actually the first ever track to have a proper corner that is a real turn with a DRS zone, especially a banked corner as well. There was quite a few concerns that the opening of DRS would actually cause the car to swing out and as a result cause some crashes, but thankfully it did not for anyone, so that was quite good. So as you move through qualifying, we're getting more and more lap times on the board, and it wasn't a brilliant lap time for the McLaren of Red Ninja, but it's not all too bad. You've got plenty more opportunities to set lap times through this qualifying session. And some drivers certainly will be, like Red Ninja, who didn't set the best initial lap time, but there is plenty more opportunities to set good lap times here. So, as I finally find the document that has the cars allocated to the teams, which is really useful for someone who doesn't typically commentate here for the competitive speed series. However, I'm almost sure they're gonna try and draft and get me in for next season. But not the Red Bull, it is the LRN car there, up to 6th. Not a bad lap time there. Pretty good benchmarker lap time there. I do wonder if anyone else is coming around on a hot lap or if everyone's on a inlet as things stand. Let's have a little look. We got some people on outlaps actually. Gio on a outlap and spinning on said outlap. That was a brilliant time to cut to the driver because they were spinning. And we got Beto Express not far behind. I do wonder what kind of improvement these drivers will be looking to find. Will it be a few tenths? Will it be half a second? Will it be more? Who knows? Not me, but we will certainly be finding out very shortly. So do get your predictions for pole position into the chat right now so we can see what you guys seem to think might be happening. But Gio now coming around the final bend, opening DRS onto the hot lap. Now battery on through 7th gear around this bend, accelerating all the time down this straight, and as you go down the straight here into turn number 1, a tight corner. I want to really kiss that apex, stay for it as long, run as wide as possible really, and then through this sequence of corners you don't really realize how banked these corners are. Very nicely taken through there. We do see alternative lines based on whether you're attacking or defending through that, and nicely up the hill there, keeping it well in track limits, and apparently a purple sector 1 there for Gio, so a good initial start of the lap for Gio. I wonder if we might see another spin for Gio through this section, but nope, absolutely pinpoint perfect there for Gio. A very good lap time for ORT. It seems to be shaping up very well for the ORT car, but actually a slight downturn in the performance through here. So you've got to be hoping that you found a bit more time in this final sector. Did they lose a lot of time in this sector? Absolutely no idea. But as we come around the final bend with ORT Gio, what will it be? Up to the line now. Will it be an improvement? A decent amount. Just over a tenth of a second. Beto Express, though, a blistering lap time there to shoot up to 3rd place there. So very nice lap time there to get a great position there on the road. Is it CPI Danny next around? It absolutely is. Or is this an in lap? I'm not actually quite sure. I believe this is a hot lap, absolutely. It appears to be up to the line. Now, no, it's an in lap. Brilliant. As FC1 Raylux comes around the final bend and goes, I believe starts a hot lap there. Now we've got Morris, who I believe is about to set an improvement and does look to be very rapid so far in this session. I'm very sorry for my inability to follow this hecticness, and it's the fastest time there for Morris JRM in the Aston Martin car, which is the TGF. So a great lap time there for TGF, with his teammate there down in 10th place as things stand. But a very good lap time there, and definitely one that won't be the easiest to beat, as, well, I say that as a Finlay 2006 comes around the final bend, and apparently is setting a blistering pace for X, and it looks like it's going to be a very hefty improvement, and a 108.235. We could be getting into the 108 ones, potentially even the 108 flats by the end of this session if the current pace of these drivers continues to improve. As movement up and down the order, it would seem, I believe that was Blackberry Hall moving up a couple of places there, as the FC1 car of Warfox now begins a hot lap 2. A fair few drivers just having finished a hot lap, so everyone kind of trundling around at the minute, but Red Ninja has gone off the track on a hot lap, so not a great time for the McLaren driver, so not the best of times for all, but a lot of drivers putting in some good lap times and good work as things stand, but some might be a little more on the disappointed stand. But FC1 coming round to the Sector 2 line, and a decent improvement through there, so 1.5 tenths it looks roughly gained through Sector 2 as loads of drivers come into the pit lane, and Red Ninja is one of them after that little off-track moment there in Sector number 2. Up to the line though for Warfox, and it is a improvement up to 8th there for FC1, which is very good improvement for the team. Obviously, every team looking to extract the absolute maximum out of this, and FC1 will be one of those teams that will be looking to get a good result out of this session. But as we move through this session, we will certainly be getting some more drivers out on the circuit soon for the final runs of qualifying. I do wonder who will go out slightly early to guarantee 2 hot laps, get those tyres maybe up to temperature a little bit more, and try and get as good of a lap time as is humanly possible there. And Ryan going for a second hot lap there, and down in top for the 108.779, but getting, I believe, a driver out on a hot lap now, and there we go. It is Raylox there, currently in 3rd place on a outlap, looking likely to be going for, to give yourself that buffer of an extra lap if needed, but Raylox clearly having a reasonably good time of it thus far, and just taking this outlap nice and easy. You want to get these tyres into a really nice window. It's very difficult to always get these tyres into a workable window. It's not always the easiest. It can take the entire lap. You want to work them just enough that you're getting some nice performance. We don't overwork them. If you overwork them, you'll lose a heap of performance. You don't want to wear them all too much either, so you get the absolute maximum pace out of these tyres. But these drivers know what they're doing, and Raylox certainly does, currently in 3rd place. And all you'll need is just under 0.2 of a second, and that is it for Raylox, and you'll be up to P1 in this session. But Raylox currently in 3rd place, beginning another hot lap, and doesn't look like there'll be any traffic to contend with for Raylox, and the only driver currently on a fast lap as some drivers begin to filter out for their final runs in qualifying Raylock. So through sector number 1, it is a fairly decent improvement, nearly 700ths improved there through that section of track as we go through into sector number 2. And this section is not the easiest section in the world. These corners are very easy to spin out of at times, so very well taken by Raylocks there. I know I have fallen susceptible and spun there all too many times, and still a very decent lap time this is shaping out to be for Raylocks as we go through the final bend with the Williams car, and it is going to be a fairly decent lap here and into the pit lane, clearly wanting the final lap, so teasing a bit of pace there, but Gio on a decent lap time there if the sector 1 time is to be believed, which it might certainly be. It is 2.5 tenths up there as we go through the sector 2 timing line, so a very, very decent improvement here for Gio. Wonder if Gio will also pull into the pit lane and throw a bit of a red herring and a bit of a dark, ominous horse, a 5-place grid penalty for illegal blocking, which likely means we'll be getting a lobby reset, and it's up to second for Gio. That is a brilliant, blistering lap there for the McLaren car as Morris JRM is going round the track at a rate of knot and is looking very competitive as things stand, improving all the time through the laps. These drivers, and it is now do or die time for a lot of these drivers to get the absolute maximum pace out of the car. And as we go through with Morris JRM up to the line for the Aston Martin car, a lot of drivers on their outlaps now. It is getting a little bit crazy on the racetrack, but as we come through with Morris JRM, will it be an improvement? It is by nearly 1/10 of a second there, so a 108.1312 for them on that particular occasion. Likely not going to have another lap, not enough charge or battery to even attempt another lap here, but we are looking very set for a blistering end to this qualifying session. Will Finlay be able to keep pole position and convert it into a pole position, or will someone be able to dethrone the ex-driver and stop a great result that it would be for the team? Well, we're about to find out as CPI Troyer comes round the final bend, and clearly about to start a hot lap after doing 1 lap on those tyres. Clearly deciding nothing worth doing just yet, but let's cut to Finlay. Currently got a provisional pole time of a 108.235. I said we could get into the 108.1s. I still think we might get into the 108.1s, and if anyone's going to do it, it would be the current provisional pole sitter of Finlay. Can you beat and smash your own time? Well, Morris JRM wasn't able to do it. B2 Express wasn't able to do it. But Finlay can't do it either. A 108.226. So a small improvement there. And not really many drivers improving. CPI Danny, however, a massive improvement. 2.5 tenths up to the line. It is provisional pole position for CPI Danny. A 108.213. That is a very good lap time. Still not into the 108.1s as I thought we might get into, but it's not really fruitioned as I thought it might have. Up to the line for CPI Troyer. Nothing worth doing on that particular occasion as LRN Monkeyman comes up to the line now and stays 11th. No improvement there. It's Ryan, the last driver to cross the line, and no improvement there. So it is CPI Danny on pole position for the race here at the Netherlands. Welcome to Deutschland. Ferrari have turned it up. Deutschland is Germany, and I have only just realised that, and I've ruined my day. But it is CPI Danny on pole position here at the Netherlands, not Deutschland. God, I wish we could go back to Germany. That would be amazing. But it is CPI Danny, or the Dutchman, on pole for the Dutch Grand Prix, followed by Finlay and Gio in third. Morris JRM completing the second row of the grid. Beto Express and FC1 Raylox completing the third row. CPI Troye and Fox Blue rounding out the fourth. And Sorosal and Warthox rounding up that top 10. But remember, the top 15 all get points, and it will be great because we'll be getting, I believe, a lobby restart following a random 5-place grid penalty for illegal blocking, which is just really annoying, really, but... Oh, and you're kidding. We're not even going to get the rain. No. Really? Hopefully we try and recreate this weather, because this will be fun. So I'm just having a little look. And we are going to get a lobby restart. And everyone's going to retire. And yes. Someone's not going to get the memo here. Someone is not going to get the memo. I hopefully. Actually, no, everyone's got the memo. Nice. Good job, guys. There we go. Well, that made that easy. We're going to get a lobby restart here. The weather for this race is going to be light rain, overcast. So likely we'll be taking a set of intermediates all the way up to a set of mediums or softs, likely looking at the weather radar that has been put into the Discord. These are not the race results. We will gloss over these. So please ignore everything that's happened here. Although if you want to have a little look at the incidents, there we go. So many incidents. What a race. I'll see you next week. Adios. But we're not going anywhere. In fact, we will have the race in a couple minutes' time. However, it does obviously give us a little moment to just kind of debrief that qualifying. I mean, it was a great qualifying for our pole sitter. There's not going to be much to really contend with. I mean, CPI Danny, an amazing, initial lap time, really kept the momentum going through the entire session, and it wasn't really much of a debate or a question as to if they were going to take pole position. It was just a case of when would they take pole position. And a great lap time. Not quite into the 1 minute. 1:08.1s like I predicted. However, still a very, very decent lap time from him to get very, very close. But not quite close enough to the point where I was spot on with the prediction. But it won't be all too long until we get underway for the race, here at the Netherlands. So don't go anywhere at all. And if you were wanting to go anywhere, just go flick the kettle on, grab yourself a drink, because it's not going to be all too long until we're getting underway for what promises to be an amazing race. As always, I mean, never is a debate as to it's going to be a good race at a competitive speed series, because it's always a good race, and always very, very close come the end of it. So hopefully we'll be getting underway very, very, very shortly. So, let's have a little look. Anything going on? Not really, just deciding how it's all going to go. And it does look like we'll be getting underway fairly shortly, hopefully. Right, looks like we are getting there. The admin and coordinator has said to ready up, which means we're going to be getting underway for a action-packed, thrill-packed race. So, with the race just moments away, we do want to obviously thank Sim Racing Centre for allowing the competitive speed series to occur. Make sure to use code CSS5 for a 5% discount at checkout. However, I can testament how great their stuff is, and it's CSS F1. Apologies, but if you do want to get some amazing sim racing setups, track guides, and all sorts of amazing F1 related content or league racing content across multiple games, head over to checkout and use CSS F1 and you'll get 5% off every order you make. However, with the boring spiel and sponsorship obligations taken care of, it is just a few moments until we'll be getting underway, and it's not looking like it's going to be a bad race in the slightest. We're going to be going from wet to dry, and that always springs up a few surprises, and I'm sure some drivers will be excelling more than others as we head to the 5 red lights for this race, especially with it raining. Some drivers have I like Stride Esports. Being completely frank with the fact that I have a... Well, it's not a script, it's just a... Make sure you mention it sort of thing. He didn't DM me the script. I was never given a script. I wish I was. It made my life so much easier. Imagine I just had a script from start to finish. This event was just entirely scripted. Happened weeks ago, and they've just given me an entire script to go through. That'd be quite funny. Can we do that one week? For fun. And I'm also not paid. I wish. Right. We are going to be getting underway for the Dutch Grand Prix here for PSF2 and the competitive speed series. And as I'm reminded that I might be paid at the end of the season, yes. Only if you get your money's worth out of me, I am sure. But we are here at a soggy Zandvoort for the race here, and as the guys cheer on the balcony above, that must mean it's going to be exciting, surely. I mean, if you're cheering before the race has even started, it's going to be a good race. Surely. I mean, competitive speed series is happening before F1 Esports has even started. So surely that means competitive speed series is better than F1 Esports, and it's better promoted and better announced. Please don't sue me, EA. I will cry, and I cannot afford the legal fees. However, you do still owe me money, so please pay me. But we are going to be getting underway very, very soon. Also, that EA owe me money, not competitive speed series. We are going to be getting underway very, very soon for the race. So don't go anywhere. The drivers are just choosing their setups. They're choosing their strategy, and they're getting everything sorted. And we're going to be getting underway. It is 3, 4, 5 red lights. And it's lights out, away we go here at Zandvoort, and it is a very wet and soggy start for everyone as expected. We'll be looking at the position change graphic to see what's going to happen. Gio there looking pretty close up on the back of Finlay. Finlay already dropping half a second. Ew, Gio thought about a dive down around the outside, but then nearly gets overtaken by Morris JRM on the exit. FC1 Raylox there up one position there. Already on the opening lap, a few drivers having gained a position already. You've got the Satchel F1 Red Ninja has crashed on the opening lap and a safety car already in this race. I'm not quite sure what happened there, but already an incident on track there on lap number 1 of 36 here at Zandvoort. This is the most number of laps in an F1 race, I believe, because I believe Monaco has 71. So it might have the same, actually. Not quite sure, but CPI Danny leading the way as we had one driver there, Red Ninja, having a crash on the opening lap of the race. Saratel F1 losing 5 places on the opening lap there, our biggest loser so far in terms of positions, and as expected, at least I hope, as expected, everyone on the intermediate tyres there. I don't see anyone likely coming into the pit lane unless they have damage. This shouldn't really be all too long until we get back underway and under green flag running. I'd expect probably come the end of the second lap, maybe the third lap at a push, because everyone's nice and bunched up already, so nothing really to mention thus far. But yes, CPI Danny leading the way, and will be leading us the way on that safety car restart, unless anything bad happens to happen under this safety car period, which you never know. Anything is possible. Now, this will alter strategies. It's important to note that will change the strategy for these drivers, because, well, you expected the rain to come on maybe lap 24. Well, now you've got the safety car, and now you're slightly delayed. You're allowing that weather to kind of come back, and maybe you've got an extra 2 laps of dry running now. How does that change? What tyres do you go on to? There's a lot of dynamic, and you've got to be really fluid in a wet race, which is really ironic, because fluid, wet, water. Right, brilliant. I'm great at this casting thing. Can you tell? Well, you know, it changes your strategy, and it means you've got to be really on the fly, because it could become dry 2 laps earlier than you're expecting, and you were going to go on to softs, but now you can't, because the softs will die. So you've got to be really fluid and dynamic with this sort of situation, and it's going to be really interesting to see how the drivers adapt to this sort of scenario. I don't think the safety car's coming in on this lap, which is really gutting. Can we... why? We're all behind the safety car. What? Why? We don't need another lap. We don't need another lap of this. Why? This is pointless. I mean, just why? Can we... That makes a lot of sense. The Wi-Fi just died. That makes sense. Right. We are under safety car on lap number 3. We had an incident on the opening lap involving ORT Red Ninja, who is out of this race. Everyone else still running, so 14 drivers still running in this race. CPI Danny led the way. Finley not so close behind, was being pressured there by ORT Geo, who nearly got overtaken after running exceptionally wide on the exit by Morris JRM. A few gainers so far. Biggest gainer is It's Ryan F1 and LRN Dominique. Donique, sorry, down in 13th and 11th there. No one knows the admin password to reset the router. That is quite funny. Well, we should be getting back underway under green flag running. If not, I'm boycotting the stream. Thank you. I'm sure that people are rejoiced at the fact that I'm not going to boycott, because that would have been outrageous if we'd gone trundling around for yet another lap. I'll pay you more. Fair enough. Fair enough indeed. Well, CPI Danny will be leading us away under this safety car period and back under green flag running, the de facto safety car, trundling around, trying to get those tyres behind as cold as possible. And round the final bend, CPI Danny now goes, and it was a slow reaction there from Finlay, and it looks like Gio could be on the hunt, really on the back of Finlay, and doesn't go for an overtake. Morris there battling with Raylox, and Raylox goes around the outside. They make a slight bit of contact, but Raylox has got up into 4th place. A sensational overtake in the wet, and Fox Blue gets ahead of Beto Express and up into 6th place there for X. So X having a good race so far here at Zandvoort, and it looks like it could be panning out to be a very good race for the team indeed, as there's a brake marker board there taken out by Morris JRM, and that is invited Fox Blue and B2 Express past the Aston Martin car. Looks like the Aston Martin car is struggling quite a bit here on lap number 4 of 36, so not having a great time there after taking out that brake marker board. You've got to remember, these drivers did their qualifying in the dry, and now they're under these wet conditions. It's a bit difficult for you to adapt to these conditions. It can take a couple laps to really ease yourself in, really get up to pace and up to speed, but these drivers are much better than me, so they probably do it much quicker than me, as you would expect. CPI Danny then obviously setting the fastest lap as the first drivers across the line after that safety car restarts, so understandably the fastest lap being set right there. And then looking back, the Aston Martin there battling with It's Ryan, and It's Ryan losing the place there after a bit of contact between those two, so not being the cleanest start for some drivers, as Donique there nearly gets past It's Ryan there, nearly going side by side as we go up the hill and into this braking zone here. It's very difficult, especially in the wet, to get this corner right, as the Aston Martin there ahead of Blackberry Hall nearly going around there, and It's Ryan invited right back into the mix, but Donny is looking to capitalize and nearly goes around there as well. All of these drivers really struggling under these conditions. It is not easy for any of them to get around this track. It is so difficult for all of these drivers. And now down the inside goes Donny in to this section here, almost a stadium section here. You trundle around, especially in these wet conditions, but Donny, yeah, up 3 positions in this race already, and it's Ryan down to plumb last to CPI Danny. So it's another fastest lap here as Beto Express goes down the inside of Fox Blue. Don't want to get on that curb too much. Oh, and on the exit, it's not been a great exit there for Beto Express, but not a bad way around there either, because you didn't spin, but not exactly the ideal line to have been taking, but nearly a good overtake there on Fox Blue, but nothing coming of it just yet in this race. And as I jigs it, Beto Express losing places now and getting in the way of his teammate for good measure. Nope, that's not his teammate. That is War Fox it's a blue car. There's a lot of them, and it's very difficult sometimes to see all of them. The Williams there of FC1 Warthog's not being able to get past on this particular occasion, but as you can see, drivers are struggling. It's not easy in wet conditions, especially for these drivers. They know it's going to go back to dry, so they likely have a dry setup on or a slightly adapted dry setup in order to be in these rainy conditions. As Raylox nearly goes down the inside of Finlay again, and through this section, keeping close, very, very close. 2 temps separating these two, 4 temps on the exit. So these guys, very, very close, and Raylox certainly putting the pressure on Finlay for 3rd place on the road. No drivers getting a penalty yet, even though we've had a few off-track excursions, but most of those have resulted in quite a few places being dropped. So looking quite good so far in this race. As I get incredibly thirsty very quickly on lap number 7 of 36. It's been a couple of weeks since I've done some casting, and my throat is already wanting to die. Because I'm still adapting, getting back into casting, but oh well, push through the pain of not having a co-caster. So, lap number 8 now begins with CPI Danny out in front. And Braylock's not quite as close on this particular occasion, as not many drivers are sizing up overtakes as things stand, but you've got to admit, the fact that these drivers are even attempting an overtake in these wet conditions is quite amazing at all, because it is very difficult to make overtakes in these sort of conditions, and these drivers are doing a very good job thus far to not have any incidents at all. But it must be said, they have done a great job so far to keep it on the tarmac, and well, nothing really to talk of right now, but B2 Express looking close to that of CPI Troyer as we go down into what I'm calling the Zandvoort Stadium section. You should see the orange flares that go on through here when Max is coming through, because sometimes I struggle to see the car, to be quite honest with you. But B2 Express up to start and go on to lap number 9, and very, very close. Not quite being able to make an overtake on this particular occasion, but still very, very, very incredibly close. As we get a pit stop there for it's Ryan. Is this going to be to retire? Wow. It's very early on in the race to retire and call it quits, especially no changing of the front wings. It doesn't look like there's damage to the car either, so very interesting there for it's Ryan to abandon the race this early on. However, a pit lane retirement won't cause a safety car, so that is much appreciated from it's Ryan. As we get CPI Troyer off the track there, and losing a fair few positions there, was be the head of B2 Express there, and losing a fair few places, down to 11th now for Troyer. So these wet conditions, as I said, springing a lot of surprises for a lot of these drivers and really not lending itself to all of them. So some really difficult scenarios occurring for a lot of these drivers, a lot of difficult decisions. Foxboo gets ahead of Raylox, and Raylox there on the exit, nearly making contact, and Morris JRM behind also. Very, very close, as Monkey Man has a little incident there on the exit. A lot of drivers having incidents on the exit. You want to get on throttle as quickly as possible, and well, not always is it proving of benefit to the driver, as they sometimes lose a bit of time. It's looking not too bad for all of these drivers as things stand. Lap number 10 of 36. So we've still got a little way to go in this race, but quite a way to go is not necessarily a bad thing for these drivers, though. It'd be a nice long race and well worth the effort and the reward that comes with it. Come the checkered flag, but a couple drivers won't be making that checkered flag. ORT Red Ninja and its Ryan obviously won't be getting anything really out of this race. Pack up, go home, and try again next week. But the other 13 drivers that do remain are fighting out for every point that is available here. And, well, everyone's going to get points out of this race, and that is worth fighting and staying in the race for, which is why I'm surprised at the retirements. Why not lock down a couple points, even if you finish dead last? You'll still get a few points for your team. Why not? And Morris JRM, so close to the Williams and ahead of the Williams, because yet another off-track excursion there, and that time for FC1 Raylox there. But that's both Williams have had a off-track excursion now, and as a result, both of them having lost some positions as a result. But on lap number 11, we're getting a bit of a battle, potentially, for the win, as Gio has caught up to CPI Danny, and is within a second. So the first driver to really catch up to CPI Danny so far in this race. CPI Danny obviously started first and is currently first in this race, and as a result, CPI Danny is, well, looking like the favourite to win, but don't never say never, because you definitely could be looking very well in this race if you're any of the other drivers, actually, really, because a lot of drivers seeing relative amounts of performance and success so far in this race, and dropping a few tenths there, but still keeping fairly close to the back of CPI Danny, and not really many battles to talk about thus far. Everyone's kind of spaced out ever so slightly. However, it probably won't be long until we're going to begin to get a few little moves and overtakes, potentially, for the race win, or some pit stops soon, probably, as it definitely doesn't look like it's raining quite as heavily as it once was, but still a lot of spray, so it'll still certainly be a little while. I'm expecting it to probably get dry about lap 20, so we've still got about 5-10 more laps, I'd say, as things stand in these wet and treacherous conditions, but no one really all too close, except Monkey Men on the back of CPI Troyer. So definitely a battle that we will be wanting and needing to watch in this race, because battle for some more points as well. Every position worth more and more points for your team. You know, and some teams could do with points more than others, and well, the desire to get every point is very much there for Monkey Men as things stand, as Troyer takes another snap on the rear in these treacherous conditions, and nearly loses the position there, but well, every driver seemingly struggling just as much, so no overtake there happening into the start of sector number 3. Doesn't look like there'll be any move made, at least not just yet. But it certainly probably won't be all too long until we do see a move there, potentially from Monkey Men, which will put them up into 10th place in this race. But Beto Express is another driver looking on mission, currently in 7th, but closing in on FC1 Raylox, and now just 7 tenths behind. But Raylox has closed up on Morris JRM, who has left the session presumably with an issue, and I don't think there's anyone to invite them, which I think means I have to do it, no? I believe I have to do it. Problem is, I'm not friends with them. And I don't think I can invite for a PlayStation party, can I? This is... I've got to do this, haven't I believe so. Invite. Right. I've done that just in case. If not, then oh well. Old invites should work, but sometimes they clear. Especially if the driver clears their inbox. So I've just sent one just in case. Which probably means it's just sent it to everyone, and I've just very much annoyed the 13 drivers currently racing. Although Morris JRM is losing a lot of places, so it's nice of me to dropped another invite just in case. I'll keep a little eye out. And a few positions there, as obviously everyone overtakes Morris JRM. But Beto Express moving up to 5th there. These drivers still scrapping, but nothing really happening thus far for any of them. Really massively, but Raylox wanting to close to the back of Beto Express. Here. So let's have a little look at and keep a little eye on what's going on. You got the Alpine there for the Stride Esports car, followed by the FC1 cars. It's not looking all too bad for FC1 in this race. P6 and P7, not a bad result for the team, but definitely X looking the best team as it stands with a 3rd and 4th place. A great result there for them. But it'll be very interesting to see what sort of movements we might have between now and the check flag. And no sign of Morris JRM getting back into this lobby, so who knows if we will be getting them back into the race, which would be very disappointing, because it would be nice to see TGF get some more points. I mean, they are only a few points behind LRN, so every point really would count for them. So it would be quite gutting if they weren't able. But FC1 not looking terrible. And Morris JRM, I'm not sure. They've just rejoined the session. So welcome back, as we're getting movement from FC1 Raylox into the pit. Is this a gamble for Dries? I really hope so. No. Is it? Wait. No. Why? Are we going to get rain? Well, is it going to go to dry? Presumably so. So I expect this might actually be a bit of a gamble, and I think it's not going to work for Raylox. I think it's going to start drying up relatively soon. We know it is going to go to overcast conditions. So be interesting to see how that works. I don't know if Morris JRM has managed to get back into the Aston Martin car, but CPI Danny still out in front. Finlay, by the way, having closed up to ORT Gio. Gio at one point was within 1 second of CPI Danny, that hasn't had best times since getting within that 1 second range, and has fallen off since. And Finlay has only closed up and gotten a little bit closer every lap, and now is under pressure as Beto Express comes into the pit lane. Is this going to be a change to another set of intermediate tyres? Where is the gamble? I know it's unrealistic, but I would just love to see these drivers gamble onto another set, onto a set of dry compound tyres. So just confirming that everyone is out on a set of intermediates that has pit so far in this race. Absolutely. I mean, I'm really not expecting the guys at the top to pit, especially like if you're Gio or Finlay or Foxblue. There's no point pitting. You want to see if you can take those tyres into the dry phase of this race. Because if you can, brilliant. So much time to be gained through doing that. And if there's not positions lost for those drivers who have taken such a gamble, as Donick nearly gets past the CPI car of Troyer and up into 7th place. Very close, but not quite close enough as things stand, but just a few attempts separating these two. I do wonder if we'll get any more drivers coming into the pit lane changing tyres. It doesn't really seem like there's much point, but Foxblue does come into the pit lane for a change of tyres. It seems like too much of a gamble, and it could be too much of a gamble for these drivers who have come into the pit lane, because you know, you're going on to another set of tyres. I think it's supposed to go back to dry. So why would you want to take a gamble that might not pay off? What do they know that maybe we don't? Sorrel gets really held up in the pit lane. I'm not quite sure what happened there. I mean, we'll see. Raylox has got a lot of time to make this sort of strategy work. I mean, gap to the leader for Raylox is 23 seconds. Pit lane lost time is 18 seconds. So you've got to find at least 5 seconds before it becomes dry. If it becomes dry, that is the question. Do these drivers feel enough of a threat is there to want to box? Well, clearly I know something they don't, because they've all decided to come into the pit lane for change to a set of tyres, and I'd expect Blackberry Hall to follow suit and into the pit lane. And I mean, the time gain from Raylox was absolutely there. I'm not convinced by it being, you know, worthwhile necessarily, but these guys clearly seem to think it is. And out they all come for another set of intermediates, and as expected, CPI Danny back out in front, but Raylox did gain a decent chunk of time there from being on these newer tyres, and back of Gio there for second place in this race. So decent amount of time gained there by pitting slightly earlier. So not a bad gamble there for Raylox, and of course everyone else to box. So the race is pretty much as it was, minus a few position changes based on pitting later or earlier. But not all too bad for anyone in this race, actually, except Morris JRM, who obviously did have a incident of his own when he disconnected from the lobby and got back in relatively quickly and managed to continue in the race. But Raylox setting a fastest lap time, lap 21 of 36. It doesn't look like it's stopped raining yet, and it looks like it might still be a little bit away to go until it does stop raining, and it might not even stop raining at the circuit, but it's certainly not looking too bad as things stand. And this race is certainly could be very interesting come the checkered flag, as Rolex is still close to Gio, but a slight error there on the exit does commentators curse it, and you've got Beta Express there not far behind Finlay, but falling off ever so slightly, but who knows what is going to happen between now and the checkered flag, with 15 laps to go as well. There's a lot of opportunity for things to change, positions to change, drivers to change, those all-important places, and positions to change in the Constructors and Drivers' Championships as well. As we move through the laps, Danny sets a new fastest lap of this race, and it really looks like it's not raining as heavily as it was. But I'm not sure if that's just the game playing tricks on me, really. It might be the game playing tricks on me, to be fair. I really would like to see it get to dries, and the necessity to box for a set of dry tyres. It could really shake up this race, but who knows what's going to happen. Raylox has really fallen off and into the clutches of Finlay here. The benefit of pitting earlier did initially seem to really benefit FC1 and Raylox, but it's not fruitioned amazingly in terms of Raylox is now falling susceptible to the back of the X-Car of Finlay, and Finlay on those slightly fresher tyres as well is likely to be able to extract a little bit more pace than the car in front of him of Raylox, so it will be interesting to see if Finlay does attempt an overtake very, very soon, as my body decides it's time for a nap, because I've had a very, very long day, but the action is still unfolding, and as a result I will keep my eyes open just for you. And CPI Troyer might want the eyes on him for this overtake, as not quite there on the entry. Will it be there on the exit? Not quite either. So clearly not wanting the eyes on him for the overtake, but applying the pressure to the back of the LRN car of Monkey Men. And not all too bad for them in this race, as Finlay is continuing this pressure as we go through and along onto what would be a DRS straight if it was dry, but it is absolutely not dry. It is very, very wet, and as a result, as I die, Finlay is not able to get extra speed and performance other than the slipstream down that straight, as Finlay is within half a second now. Down the straight we go. Are we going to get close or close enough? An attempt round the outside, going for the switchback, and it looks like Ray might force susceptible, but not quite. Finlay really put the pressure on and wasn't quite able to get the overtake there and up into third place. And now Finlay really keeping this pressure on. It's such a continued pressure there from Finlay as Beta Express comes up onto the back of this train, and down the inside Finlay goes, not quite able to hold it though, going through the next sequence of corners, and they make contact. That Mercedes nearly went around there and falling susceptible there, nearly to Beta Express, and battling all the way around the outside now as Finlay gets very, very close to the back of the FC1, and thought about a move down the inside, but nothing worth doing on this particular occasion, but they are making contact, getting close, and providing action all the way around as the Stride esports car of Sorotal goes around and loses a heap of time, and well, doesn't make any difference to their position, but not too bad of a battle we are seeing unfold in front of us as Finlay looks to overtake Raylox as the rain still continues to pour, and for some drivers it really is pouring, and not just on the circuit in terms of how their race has gone too. For some drivers it is absolute elation, sunshine and rainbows, but Finlay is one of those drivers wanting to have some sunshine and rainbows, but he needs to get past the FC1 of Raylox first, and it's just not quite happening. The slightest of errors are really holding Finlay back so far in this race, stopping a position gain there. The pace has certainly been there as Warfox and Morris JRM go to tangles, and a little bit of contact made there on the entry to the final corner on the circuit, but really well judged by both drivers, and no contact made between the two as Raylox and Finlay battle once again. Finlay needs to get this overtake done, but just can't quite manage it. It's unbelievable seeing this 4-car battle here for the same bit of tarmac as Fox Blue tries to battle here with Beto Express. Stride Esports getting overtaken there by the X car and up into 5th place. You need to overtake in an unconventional spot at this sort of track, and Finlay hasn't quite seemed to be able to manage to do something quite like that. And now he's got his teammate behind him putting on the pressure now as well. And could this be a strategical let through based on the pace we've seen from these drivers? It well could be, because well, Fox Blue just seems to be having quite a bit more pace at this stage in the race, and that's really interesting because Finlay was really on it in the earlier stage of this race, but it's just not really fruition. There's not been any overtake, there's not been anything really of note from the Mercedes and the X car, but finally alongside, but having to go around the outside again is going to be quite good enough on this particular occasion. It looks like it might be there's a bit of contact, and Raylox keeps the position once again. These tyres are banging, these cars are clanging, and the heat levels are rising, even though it is still absolutely pouring, because these drivers are getting very, very feisty. And that was very interesting, that line taken there by Finlay through that sequence of the track. I did say you needed to get inventive to get an overtake in wet conditions. There's a little bit more contact there between the front wing of Finlay and Raylox, and a brilliant overtake there. Can Raylox respond through the next corner? Absolutely brilliant racing here, and round the outside goes Finlay, and finally ahead of Raylox as Fox Blue takes the opportunity as well. A bit of contact there made between those two, but then gets past Raylox too. And could this be Beto Express getting past two? And it absolutely is, and Raylox loses 3 positions in 3 corners. And I just had to check that was actually 3 corners, and it was 3 corners there, and Raylox lost 3 positions, a corner. Not what you would have wanted if you were Raylox, but a brilliant battle nonetheless, and a brilliant defense to keep Finlay off and at bay. But eventually it was going to happen, whether Raylox wanted it or not. And well, it was very well done and timed, and eventually the overtake was made, but Beta Express keeping on the back of Fox Blue. But looking very, very feisty, a lot of these drivers. And it's not too bad. Now we are going, well, we have begun lap number 29 of 36. Not many laps left to go. We have an Alpine and a safety car, and this is going to change everything in this race. Because Raylox comes in, and not everyone's going to be able to capitalise. Actually, that's a lie. Because we're going to trundle around under the safety car, and everyone will be able to get a cheap as chips pit stop. As Raylox is the first driver to come into the pit lane, as Stride Esports will be rejoicing the loss of one of their drivers. They won't be rejoicing the loss of one of their drivers, actually. They will be, well, probably having a Toto moment and hitting the desk as hard as they humanly can, because one of their drivers is out of the race. Beta Express, the only driver left representing Stride Esports in this lobby then. The Beta Express trundling around on the safety car, going to benefit probably from a cheap pit stop. You'd expect everyone coming in. I don't know if anyone's no one's gambling for drives. It's quite tragic. I really wanted. Actually, that's a lie. What have I just seen? I mean, I wanted a gamble. I wasn't expecting it, but I've gotten it. I want to know if any of the top guys gamble. I don't expect it, but it would be brilliant to see. Please, can someone gamble? It would be brilliant. I would love to see a driver gamble onto a set of slick tyres from this top pack, but I don't think it's going to happen. But it would be just absolutely brilliant to see. It's not going to happen, but I don't care. What? We have drivers on slick tyres right now. Is it going to dry? Who knows? I really don't know. Are they going to come in at the end of this lap, maybe? Is it too wet? Looks like it might be too wet. Yes, it's definitely too wet for any resemblance of slick tyre. It doesn't look like it's going to be getting to any form of slick tyre conditions. They do have very much fresh tyres. They trundled around for that lap, so they've got a little bit of extra life in those tyres that you can take through to the end of the race, which could prove useful. But everyone bunching up now behind the Aston Martin safety car here at the Netherlands. We have just 5 laps to go in this race once we cross the line and begin lap number 31 of 36. And, well, it's not going to be all too bad of a performance for CPI, Danny, if this result pans out as it currently is. But the grid bunched up now, and everyone very, very close. Once again, everyone on a set of fresh tyres. Some of these tyres fresher than others, but all of these drivers are going to be really benefiting from these fresh, sticky, intermediate tyres, and they are going to give as much grip as they ever will when we get back under green flag running in not too long. It's only going to be a couple minutes now until we really ramp up to the conclusion of this race. Do not go anywhere. I hope you are on the edge of your seat, because I know I am, because this is going to be a brilliant conclusion to this race. So, We've got just 5 laps to go now. Drivers all on fresh tyres. Drivers all potentially in the hunt for more points, more places, and a better result for their team. And all these drivers, I think, looking relatively well poised, except Donick, who has a penalty. But we'll go back to the positions change graphic because there is no differing tyre compound, just a slight difference in tyre wear, but that's not going to change at all, I do not think. Are we trundling around for another lap? That is it. I am boycotting this because outrageous. Surely we could have got green flags there. Really outrageous stuff there from the in-game stewards, not able to make a competent decision. I wonder where I've seen that before. In the F1 game. Oh wait, look at any race ever. But I rest my case and my hatred towards EA as Donny gets another 5-second penalty and changes to softs again. Why? It's not dry. What are you doing? There's no benefit. What are you doing? You're not going to... I mean, if Donick somehow finishes not dead last on a set of soft tyres, I don't know what I will do, but I will do something. I mean, surely this does not work. The track looks so wet. There is no grip in these tyres. Yep. What? Safety car in this lap. It is like driving on an ice rink, surely. I mean, fair play. It is now drying out. But surely these do not come alive in enough time. They are going to be stone cold. They are going to be running on a wet track. Surely you are not going to make this sort of strategy work. If so, an absolute blinder made of a decision here. A driver on softs, the other 11 on intermediates. It is CPI Danny taking us around the final bend. Keep an eye on LRN Donick there on the soft tyres. Going to be losing pace to begin with. It is still wet on track, but it has officially stopped raining. There is no more rain in this race. If those tyres come alive, you could see a lot of positions gained as these tyres will drop off. These inters, they're new. They've got a lot of grip, sure, but only grip when there's rain. These treads, if you want a worn down tread, the Interslick, yes, it's a thing in the game. It will help you. But these tyres, they've got a lot of tread depth to them, so it's not going to be of as much benefit as things stand. But CPI Danny still out in front. Gio in second. Third there for Finlay, for X. FC1 Raylox in fourth, and Fox Blue in fifth. Vito Express representing Stride Esports, and then you've got Morris JRM and Blackberry Hall there in seventh and eighth, retrospectively. LRN Monkeyman in ninth, the other CPI car of Troye in 10th, Warfox in 11th, and Donick there in 12th. Running 5 seconds behind as things stand, but this track does seem to be getting ever so slightly drier. CPI Danny there with a fastest lap as expected, but other drivers will be setting fastest lap times of their own fairly soon, you would imagine. But these drivers having a relatively good conclusion to this race. The pace in these intermediates holding up quite well. Not looking likely that Donny is going to finish anywhere but right at the bottom as things stand, but who knows? This last lap could be bone dry. There could be many seconds a lap time gained, but it is a gamble and one which has not panned out thus far in this race, but they will be desperately hoping that it does. And this track only seems to be getting drier and drier and drier. There is no more spray coming off of these tyres. The track still looking down, but Donny is still trundling around and losing even more time on these soft compound tyres. But the track now looking so dry, looks really dry, but the time just isn't there to gain really any amount of positions in this race. It looks like it will be 12th there for Donny. A gamble worth taking, but one that doesn't look like it will be paying off in any form or another. But these drivers, gotta remember, these inters, they will overheat with no water to dissipate it, and well, it won't be all too long until they start to, and Donny has already gained a second there, and oh! Finlay into the wall after contact with Raylox there. Uh-oh, indeed. That could be a hefty penalty going in the way of FC1, because that was a very naughty sort of incident there. That is not what you want to see at all. So that has really changed this race for X Esports, because what was going to be a brilliant result now isn't quite as good. Can Fox Blue somewhat take some of the pain away, or overtaking there up into third place now? As, by the way, there is a battle for the race win, as Donny might prove me wrong and has blistering pace now. Those soft tyres are running on a bone dry track. But the battle for the lead, ORT Geo versus CPI Danny. Danny has been out in front every lap of this race. I'm not sure if there even is DRS, or if there is in this race, but CPI Danny battling with ORT Geo. DRS is enabled. This could be crucial for ORT Geo. Could it be a win for ORT, or will it be CPI's time to shine? Wow. We're going round the final bend. It is the final lap of the race. It's been 36 thrilling laps as round the final corner. CPI Danny goes. Johnny gains a place. That soft side gamble, it gained him a place, admittedly. So not a terrible gamble, except the fact he has a penalty. CPI Danny over the line, a tenth separating them. It is a very near photo finish from those two, as Raylox battles there with Fox Blue up to the line, and everyone across the line so quickly I couldn't even read you the race results. Wow. What a race. Driver of the day there, assigned by the game to Fox Blue 1884 there. So, let's run you through the results after the podium cutscene. And not a bad race at all, but it was CPI Danny there taking the race win ahead of Geo. So we're going to give you a full look at the results afterwards, and talk through the results of this race, and then we'll be on our way after nearly an hour and a half of streaming. So it was CPI Danny who won the race from pole position, but it wasn't quite as easy as it might have seemed on the surface, because Danny had to really fight for that race win. And right at the end, Geo, very close, just 1/10 separating the two of them. Foxbury there in third, rounding out the podium, followed by Raylox there. Again, a very close photo finish there for fourth. Beto Express then rounding out fifth, Morris JRM sixth, LRN Monkeymen seventh, eighth for Blackberry Hall, CPI Troyer in ninth, War Fox in 10th, and I wasn't quite able to read the rest of them because it's very impossible to see, and I've got 5 adverts in a row on Twitch, so I can't even go back and read the rest of them off because I've got 5 adverts. Thanks, Twitch. How kind of you. So we're gonna wait so I can read the final few drivers off for the race results, and I've just realised you can't get back on Twitch. Brilliant. I would read you the race results, however I can't, because, well, it's gone. So, that was the top 10. I mean, a phenomenal race for CPI Danny to win, and take a really well-deserved win as well. It was a very difficult win, you know, and he had to really fight for it towards the end of the race as well. And it's just, what a race that was for Danny. Really had to fight for it right at the death. Wasn't expecting to see that battle there at the end. But a well-deserved and well-fought battle nonetheless. Looking at the reaction from Finlay, really not happy with FC1 Raylox there for that incident. So very difficult. Not a great outcome for Finlay. But however, it is goodbye to the Netherlands for PSF2, and all of our drivers now look ahead to round number 7, where we tackle the Red Bull Ring. However, will it be the Red Bull team that take the win? Well, if that was to happen, it would be LRN winning out next race weekend. However, with CPI in good form, it is anyone's guess as to what the result of next week will be. But what a race weekend that certainly was. Some drivers will be leaving it disappointed, others elated. But when we come back next week for Austria, it is no doubt going to be a fierce competition once again. However, until next week when we head to the Red Bull Ring, it is goodbye from PlayStation F2. But in 1 week's time, we tackle the Red Bull Ring. But until then, goodbye.